Welcome back to our channel. I'm really glad to have you here today. In this video, we're diving into a long and inspiring story about 5 friends, each with their own dreams, talents, struggles, and hopes. It's a journey of ambition, growth, and self-discovery, a story that shows how every person can shine in their own unique way. So sit back, relax, and let's begin this adventure together. The story of 5 dreamers. Where everything began. In the quiet seaside town of Silver Bay, where the ocean breathed in slow, rhythmic waves and the gulls circled endlessly above the shore, life moved with a peaceful steadiness. The town wasn't large, just a stretch of stone-paved streets, warm cafes, fishermen with weathered hands pulling in their nets at dawn, and children racing bicycles down narrow alleys. Yet, despite its simplicity, Silver Bay held an energy unlike any other place. It wasn't the kind of town that pushed people forward. Instead, it whispered gently to them, reminding them that dreams should never be forgotten. And within this small, coastal world, 5 friends found each other. They weren't born into the same family. They didn't share the same background. They didn't even want the same things. But what united them was stronger than all of that. They believed, deeply and fiercely, in the magic of possibility. Their headquarters was an old lighthouse no longer used, slightly leaning toward the sea. It was chipped, aged, imperfect. And perfect for them. They met there almost every evening, not out of routine but out of instinct. It was where they felt most alive, where they could talk for hours about everything and nothing, where dreams were spoken out loud without fear. Their names were Adam, Noah, Lena, Sam, and Maya, 5 completely different souls, drawn together by something invisible yet powerful. And this story begins the night the 5 of them gathered inside the lighthouse as the sun melted into the horizon, painting the sky with colors that looked like they belonged to another world. Adam, the one who saw life in words. Adam was always the first to arrive at the lighthouse. Not because he had to, but because he needed the silence before the others came. Silence was where his ideas lived. He walked with a notebook under his arm, the cover worn from years of opening and closing it. Some pages were filled with messy handwritten paragraphs, others with drawings of characters he imagined, and others with half-finished poems he never dared to show anyone. Adam wasn't loud. He wasn't the kind of person who filled a room with energy. He was the opposite: quiet, observant, thoughtful. People often mistook his silence for shyness, but his friends knew the truth. Adam's mind was always somewhere else, building new worlds, imagining stories, creating lives that felt more real to him than his own sometimes. Adam had something rare. He didn't just write. He understood people. He saw the cracks, the fears, the hidden dreams. He noticed the way someone's eyes shifted when they lied, or the way a voice softened when speaking about something they loved. And in his stories, he captured this humanity with stunning honesty. He dreamed of becoming an author, not just any author, but one whose books traveled far beyond Silver Bay. one whose stories touched strangers in places he'd never even visit. But every time he tried finishing a book, he froze. He feared not being good enough, not being worthy, not being read. A moment that changed him. One evening, he shared a short piece he wrote about a girl who hid stars in her pockets so she could light her own path. The lighthouse was quiet as he read. And for the first time, Adam saw something unexpected in his friends' faces. Real emotion. Lena's eyes softened, Maya put her hand on her chest, Noah smiled with quiet pride, and Sam nodded slowly as if absorbing every word. Adam realized something that night. Maybe his stories weren't just for him. Maybe they were meant to be shared. Noah, the dreamer who lived through music. If Adam was the quiet observer, Noah was the heartbeat of the group. Music followed him everywhere like a second shadow. He tapped rhythms on tables, hummed melodies under his breath, and carried headphones he never fully removed. Noah's life in sound. To Noah, the world wasn't made of sights or colors, it was made of sounds. The crashing of waves was percussion. The wind was a soft violin. The chatter in the market was a warm, chaotic harmony. At home his room was a sanctuary of instruments, an old guitar from his grandfather, a small keyboard missing 2 keys, and notebooks filled with lyrics he wrote late at night when inspiration struck. Noah had an ear for music unlike anyone in Silver Bay. He could listen to a song once and replay it perfectly. He could improvise melodies that stuck in people's heads for days. But what made him special wasn't skill, it was emotion. Noah played with his whole heart. When he played the guitar, you didn't just hear it, you felt it. His dream. He wanted to compose music that healed people, to perform on stages around the world, to create songs that stayed with people long after they faded from memory. But Noah had a secret he hid well. He feared being judged. He never performed publicly. He only played for the group, in the lighthouse, where he felt safe. A moment that defined him. One night, a sudden storm hit Silver Bay. The power went out. People gathered outside, anxious and confused. Noah stepped into the street, guitar in hand, and began playing softly, first for himself, then for everyone. Within minutes, the entire street fell silent. Children sat on the ground, adults leaned against walls, and strangers stood shoulder to shoulder, listening. When he finished, someone whispered, "You saved tonight." And Noah finally believed that his music mattered. Lena, the artist who painted her own reality. Lena brought color to their group literally and figuratively. Her hands were always stained with paint, and her clothes carried the marks of her creativity. She saw beauty everywhere, in peeling walls, in rusted gates, in cracked tiles, in shadows. Lena's vision. To Lena, the world wasn't what it looked like. It was what it could become. She could take the most ordinary moment and turn it into something extraordinary. She painted Silver Bay's sunset skies, strangers' faces, and abstract shapes that her friends pretended to understand even if they didn't. Lena could transform emotions into colors. When she was sad, she painted in deep blues. When she was excited, in electric yellows. When she was hopeful, she used soft pinks and greens. She had the rare ability to paint not what she saw, but what she felt. Lena wanted to open an art gallery one day, not to show off, but to create a place where people felt understood. Where they could see their own emotions reflected on the walls. But Lena had one struggle. She was terrified of criticism. She threw away half her paintings because she feared they weren't good enough. A moment that shaped her. One afternoon, while painting on the beach, a little girl approached her and whispered, "Your painting looks like how my heart feels." Lena cried silently that day. For the first time, she realized that her art spoke a language deeper than words. Sam, the inventor who believed nothing was impossible. Sam wasn't a dreamer, he was a builder. If something was broken, he fixed it. If something didn't exist, he tried to create it. His room was cluttered with wires, screws, tools, broken radios, half-finished inventions, and things no one understood except him. To Sam, the world was a giant puzzle waiting to be solved. He questioned everything. Why did things work the way they did? How could they be improved? What new thing could exist tomorrow? Sam had a mind built for innovation. He saw mechanical solutions the way others saw colors or heard melodies. His friends often joked that Sam didn't dream in images, he dreamed in blueprints. He wanted to create something that changed people's lives, a device, a machine, an invention that would leave a mark on the world. But Sam carried a heavy burden. He felt misunderstood. People said he was too unrealistic, too obsessed, too strange. When he was 15, he built a small wind-powered generator that lit the lighthouse for the first time in years. The friends watched as the once dark tower glowed again. It was the first time Sam felt proud, truly proud, of who he was. Maya, the girl who believed in people more than they believed in themselves. Maya was the emotional glue of the group. Warm, empathetic, endlessly patient, she noticed every shift in mood, every slightest sadness, every unspoken fear. She was the friend who listened without interrupting, who hugged without needing a reason, who always knew what to say even when the world felt heavy. She volunteered at the local community center, helped children with homework, visited elderly neighbors, and believed kindness was the most powerful force in the world. Her talent. Maya had the ability to heal hearts. Not with medicine, not with therapy, but with compassion. People trusted her instantly. They opened up to her. They sought her advice. They felt lighter after talking to her. She wanted to become a counselor or a social worker, someone who could bring hope to people who felt forgotten. But Maya struggled with something deep inside. She often forgot to take care of herself. She carried everyone's pain but didn't let anyone carry hers. One evening, Adam found her alone at the lighthouse stairs, crying softly. When he asked why, she simply said, "I just wish I could help everyone." And Adam told her something she never forgot. "You already do, just by being you." As the weeks passed in Silver Bay, something subtle but powerful began to shift between the 5 friends. The lighthouse was no longer just their secret hideout. It was slowly becoming the place where each of them confronted the dreams they had always been too afraid to face. The town stayed the same: quiet mornings, fishermen calling out to each other, the smell of sea salt drifting through narrow streets. But inside each of the 5, things were changing in ways they did not fully understand yet. Adam spent more time than ever with his notebook, sitting on the rough stone steps of the lighthouse, scribbling with a strange mix of excitement and fear. When he discovered that one of his short pieces had been uploaded without his knowledge and had gone viral, he froze. Hundreds of strangers were suddenly praising him, telling him his words felt like their own unspoken thoughts. For the first time in his life, people he had never met were connecting to parts of his soul he had kept hidden. It thrilled him and terrified him. Instead of giving him confidence, the attention made him question everything he wrote. He erased whole pages, doubted every sentence, and sometimes stared at blank paper for hours. Maya was the one who found him like that, shaking his head, frustrated. She didn't lecture him, she just leaned beside him and whispered that he should write for himself, not for the expectations of the world. That tiny sentence was enough to push him back into his story. Meanwhile, Noah's life was also spinning faster than he could handle. His storm video had spread everywhere, and now he was being invited to play at a local festival. He wanted to accept, he wanted it more than anything, but every time he imagined standing under real stage lights, his stomach tightened. He practiced at the lighthouse night after night, hands trembling on the guitar. Sometimes his fingers moved beautifully, sometimes badly, and every mistake made him drop his head in frustration. Sam, sitting nearby working on little circuits, didn't even look up most of the time. He just said, "Again," in that calm voice of his that somehow pushed Noah forward. When Lena placed her hand over his and reminded him that music didn't have to be perfect, just honest, something inside him unlocked. At the festival, when he stepped on stage, he thought his heart might burst. But when he played the first chord, everything fell quiet, and for the first time he felt completely alive in front of a crowd. The applause at the end wasn't polite, it was overwhelming, shaking something deep inside him. Lena herself was going through her own transformation. She had left one of her paintings at the lighthouse without thinking too much about it, and by morning the whole town seemed to be talking about it. People wanted to know who painted it, cafes asked to display her work, and a gallery from a nearby town reached out. Instead of celebrating, she panicked. She hid her canvases again and convinced herself none of them were good enough. But Sam found her by the shoreline one evening, staring at her hands, trying to convince herself to stop dreaming. He told her inventions start as strange ideas, art is the same, and the world needs strange things. His words sank deep into her, and she accepted the gallery's invitation. At the exhibition, she stayed hidden in a corner, terrified, until she saw a woman cry in front of one of her paintings. She watched strangers feel emotions she had painted alone in silence. For the first time, she realized her art didn't belong hidden behind closed doors. Sam was fighting his own battle too. He was working on a portable wind generator that he believed could help people living far from electricity. But every time he tested it, something failed. Either the wires overheated or the small blades refused to spin the way he imagined. He shut himself inside the lighthouse for days, surrounded by tools and metal parts. The others tried to help, but he pushed them away, convinced that if he couldn't solve this himself, his dream wasn't real. One night, he finally broke. He slammed his fist on the table and whispered that maybe he simply wasn't good enough. Adam approached him quietly and reminded him that stories fail 100 times before they work. Inventions are no different. Sam didn't reply, but he also didn't quit, and days later, when the small generator finally lit a single bulb inside the lighthouse, his eyes filled with relief. The town heard about the invention quickly, and a local organization reached out with interest. For the first time, Sam felt like he was building something that mattered. Maya, the gentle heart of the group, spent her days helping people at the community center. She cared so deeply about everyone that she slowly forgot to care about herself. Her friends noticed the exhaustion behind her smile, the heaviness in her steps, but she always insisted she was fine. One evening, she arrived late to the lighthouse, where the others were laughing and sharing their small victories. She tried to join in, but her vision blurred, and she had to sit down. When she whispered that she was just tired, they finally understood how much she had been carrying alone. That night, for the first time, her friends held her instead of the other way around. They made her realize she didn't have to fix everything in the world, and she didn't have to sacrifice herself to care for others. When she applied for a counseling training program, she did it not because she felt responsible for everyone, but because she finally understood she deserved to grow too. In those weeks, all 5 of them changed quietly but deeply. Adam wrote with a steadier hand, Noah played with a braver heart, Lena painted with unapologetic colors, Sam built with purpose, and Maya healed with balance. The lighthouse remained their anchor, their meeting point, the place where their victories and failures mixed with the sound of waves crashing outside. They didn't know what the future would bring, but they knew that whatever happened next, they would face it with dreams that no longer lived only in their imagination. And even though they were growing in different directions, somehow it brought them closer, not apart. Throughout this long journey, we followed the story of 5 friends who share one dream, to grow, to discover themselves, and to become better every single day. We saw Adam, the writer whose imagination never stops. We watched him struggle with doubt, push through fear, and finally dare to share his stories with the world. We followed Maya, the photographer who sees life through light and color, learning that beauty isn't just in places but in people and moments. We spent time with Liam, the quiet builder with strong hands and a soft heart, who dreams of creating something that lasts forever. We got to know Sophia, whose passion for music carries emotions deeper than words, and who fights every day to find her true voice. And we walked beside Ethan, the adventurer who can't sit still, always searching for the next hill, the next sky, the next discovery that teaches him who he is. Across both parts, we witnessed their fears, their dreams, their talents, and the unique power each one of them carries. Before we dive into the questions, I want to hear from you. Your thoughts matter, and your voice is part of this journey. So take a moment and reflect on everything we explored together, everything these characters lived through and everything you felt along the way. And now let me ask you, which character did you connect with the most? Adam, Maya, Liam, Sophia, or Ethan? What talent do you want to develop in your own life? What is one dream you're afraid to start working on? Which moment in the story inspired you the most? What motivates you to keep going when life becomes difficult? If you could give one piece of advice to one of the characters, what would it be? Thank you for staying with us through this long story and for being part of this journey. If you enjoyed the experience, make sure to stay tuned. More stories, more lessons, and more inspiration are coming your way. Until the next adventure, keep learning, keep dreaming, and keep growing.